What's going on, guys and gals, and welcome to Good Reel Hunting, where we hunt for the good reels so you don't have to. It's your boy Brad. The Brett Man's right over there. Today we're doing a little ranking for you. We're doing our top 5 most consistent horror franchises. So what does this mean, guys and gals? This means what our list are for our top 5 favorite horror franchises in a way of consistency. So, the highest quality movies in a franchise, I guess. For us, it's not necessarily the objective best movies, most consistent down the line, but which ones we watch the most, I guess, which ones we prefer, which ones we like a lot. And I thought we'd have a good time with it, especially with the release of Scream 5, to add on to the franchise.
Yeah, and I'm excited, because this is just kind of have to, get all the brain here moving here just to think about this, because this was not as easy as I thought it was going to be, just because I'll even give you a little sugar right here. Friday the 13th for Halloween, it's not on this list. That doesn't mean that we hate the franchise. This is just for this particular top 5 we're doing. It's not on there just because I feel like some of the quality of it has gone down in certain parts within that franchise. But you'll see what we mean. And before we even get started mentioning our top 5, we also want to know what you all think about it. Just drop your list down in the comment section because we love to interact with you guys. So without further ado, Brad, do you have any honorable mentions?
I do. And speak for yourself, Birdie, as far as what's on your list, because we never know what's going to be over here. But yes, I do. And for the purposes of a franchise, we went with 4 movies or more here. So no trilogies or duos or anything like that. But yeah, a couple honorable mentions. First, I just wanted to mention, not really necessarily an honorable mention, but Night of the Living Dead franchise is one that I've seen a handful of those. I've liked them all, but I haven't seen them all. So I did not want to put them into this list because I don't know where the rest of them are going to fall.
Yeah, I just call it the Dead franchise.
Yeah. So the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise is going to be my honorable mention here today. I think obviously it's fantastic. I thought the first 3 are very strong, but really those are the only ones I watch on a regular basis. New Nightmare as well, sometimes when I'm in the mood for that. But I don't really go back and watch 4, 5, and 6 all that often. Because the rules are all over the place with Freddy and all this other stuff, and I just don't like the characters as much in those. Obviously, Freddy's Dead is a nightmare. I mean, let's be real, right? As is 5. I think I hate 5 worse, but yeah, that's an honorable mention. Just because the first 3 are so strong, it makes the list here. And New Nightmare.
Hey, and you know what? I don't blame you either. So I'll go ahead and throw a Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, kind of like for my honorable mention as well. Just Freddy's Dead, really hurt kind of like the flow of it. I like your explanation too with the rules of Freddy. Are always back and forth. They can't really make one decision on what his powers truly are. So yeah, totally agree on that. I agree with on your Dead franchise. And you know what? I'll even throw one more out there for you. What about the Psycho franchise with their I say 4 movies because that Vince Vaughn piece of shit does not belong on that list. Screw that. But the 4th one's tolerable though.
Yeah, and the third one's good. The second one I like a lot. Obviously, the first is a classic. The 4th one I thought was kind of garbage, but I never even saw the remake because I heard there's no point if you've seen the first one. I mean, but yeah, I think I thought about putting that up in here, but yeah, the 4th one kind of brought it down for me, as did the remake, I guess, since even though I haven't seen it.
Yeah, exactamente. So that's it for my honorable mention. So Brad, do you want to start us off with number 5?
I will, man. I'll go with, for number 5 for me, it's going to be Child's Play. This one's done a really good job. It's one of the franchises with the TV show that's still kind of continuing the original run of movies, and it never veered away from, I mean, we had the remake, but we never altered the course. There's no alternate timelines. There's nothing crazy. Every movie, for the most part, except for Seed of Chucky, is a good time. You can have a great time with Bride of Chucky. The original 3 movies they all have a good balance of horror and comedy, and Chucky doing his thing and his one-liners and all the fun stuff. Seed of Chucky was a nightmare, but the rest are good enough to pull it up. I really like the return with Curse and Cult as well. Both of those, it was a good return to the franchise after Seed came out. And the remake's good too. If you want to throw it in here, I thought it's one of the better horror remakes out there. It's a very solid. Mark Hamill comes in with a clutch voice, and we have a good time, man.
Yeah, and just being our buddy, man. Absolutely. Number 5. This is a little trippy to my number 5. This is for Tupac. Number 5 is also Child's Play for me. Because like again, the first two are like the strongest within this entry, like very spot on. Even though I actually like the remake a lot better than the original, I'm on the rare opinion side of that. I know,
Yeah.
real opinion side of that. I just love
It's good though.
what the remake did. But yeah, more importantly, just with the Child's Play franchise, you're going to have a good time with it. I would even say for Seeds of Chucky, no matter how bad that movie is, and trust me, it's bad, you could still have some kind of fun with it. Just depending on who you are and what you're willing to tolerate in that movie. Like the whole Britney Spears, like, oops, I did it again. See, I can I can have fun with that, but like
Mhm.
other things with it, I can't. But yeah, it's just really consistently strong. Like other than Sea of Chucky, all of them are really good, or just like you can at least watch it. And especially with that TV series to make it even stronger within the franchise. Hell yeah. So my number 5 is Child's Play.
Yeah, and there's a lot of variety in the franchise too, man. You really like the first one is a nice, like it's an actual kind of horror movie, and then it tips its toes into comedy, and then by the fourth one, it's full on horror comedy, and then it kind of
Mhm.
goes back to the original Hitchcock kind of thriller roots and with Cold or with Curse. So yeah, it's good variety, man.
Yeah,
But
thank
yeah,
you, Little Roots.
number four, man. Number four is controversial, man. I know this doesn't belong on this list, but again, this is my list, so I'm going to throw it up here. That's going to be Halloween, the Halloween franchise. Yeah,
Okay.
because I mean, it's a mess. It's a shit show. It's a disaster. There's timelines going everywhere. Like there's one here, there's one over there. There's the new one they're doing. Like it, but for me, like I could go back. There's not a movie in this bunch that I absolutely despise. Whereas in Friday the 13th and all the other franchises there are, like even Resurrection, I can sit through because I don't know. That's probably the first one I went to in the theaters to see. So I have some nostalgia for it. I can go in, I can watch it. I love the Rob Zombie Halloween movies. And Kills was a letdown, but I still like what they're doing right now. And yeah, none of them I hate. Five, is kind of boring, but I'll watch it. There's nothing, I'll go through and I'll watch all of them very, very consistently. So for me, honestly, I could probably bump this up even higher, but given the fact that it's such a mess and goes so many different directions and it's been rebooted and it's been, restarted and some of it's been deleted and all this stuff, like it's like, yeah, obviously it's going to be down this low.
All right. Your Halloween fandom is going in strong, but and I can
Michael
see
Myers,
too.
dude. Mikey Myers, man. He comes in. He's in. I mean, like, and then you get the variety of Halloween 3, right? And then Michael Myers, the mask all over the place, but he's still badass in all the movies. So, like, come on.
Hmm. Yeah, and and that makes sense. It's just to me with timelines though, and just like there's more than one movie that's kind of like on dud territory.
Yeah.
So Chad, I'm looking at you having Resurrection. So
Yeah.
but that's why I didn't include it in the top 5. But if you're gonna ask me for like my top 5 horror franchises of all time, easily Halloween will be in top 5.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
my number 4, freaking Bonesaw is ready on this one. My number 4 is the Saw franchise.
Nice.
Because the first 3 Saw entries are pretty much your big trilogy right there. You can pretty much just watch those, and if you wanted to, you could be done with that. Or if you had so much fun, you can step foot right into another trilogy with 4, 5, and 6. And as bad as 7 is, you can kind of like it's one of those that's so bad it's fun. Kind of like way because and plus the main thing with Saw, you're going to get the same formula. So nothing's really going to change until you go to Spiral, which it takes things in a little bit of a different direction, but you're still kind of going to get those traps. So you're still going to get that consistency. There's going to be blood. Oh, yes, there will be blood. And you're going to get traps. And if you love those, you're going to have a good time with it. It's consistent with that. So my number 4 is the Saw franchise.
Hell yeah, man. That's my number 3. So we'll go ahead and continue that train. I agree with everything you just said. If that is your cup of tea, like you're going to get the same thing in each movie. I thought the first 2 were very strong, and then the rest of them are all pretty solid. But I can't just go in and watch one and not watch the rest of the franchise because they go so well together, and it's one story, one cohesive storyline that goes through. Like you can't just go in and pop 5 in. You got to watch 4, 5, and 6 kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I like about it is it's all kind of one story that it's telling that's intertwining all these things. Yeah, you get the random traps in the air. You just kind of push those off to the side. You follow the one story and you have a good time. Jigsaw, I think, obviously 7 was trash. Jigsaw was decent. They tried to reinvent it there with that. Spiral, I thought was a pretty unique cool idea to reinvent the franchise. I was a little disappointed with it, but I still, it was a good attempt to get things running again. And I think that they got some stuff they can build off with that. So I enjoy it quite a bit, man. I enjoy it.
Hell yeah,
Nothing's that
man.
bad outside of Jigsaw. And Jigsaw's not as bad as like
I
Freddy's
actually
Dead.
enjoyed Jigsaw though. It's just
Not Jigsaw,
seven's the
7. I'm sorry.
real. Oh, okay. I was about to say it's
Yeah.
like Jigsaw I can have fun with. Seven, if anything, is the bad movie. Even though, again, I can still have fun with it because it's still the same formula. And as you said, the story is one big story and they're all connected. So that's
He got
why,
Mark
like,
Hoffman, dude.
yes. Oh my gosh, punchable face guy. Anyway, before we get on a Hoffman rant, number 3 for me, I can't cheat Dev. I promise Dev that I give him a shout out on this. So my number 3 is the Final Destination franchise, because holy crap, if you talk about consistently having fun with movies, Final Destination is it, my friend. Just because again, they're all pretty much in a way is one could see like one kind of like story in a way with 1, 2, and quick spoiler alert. So stop if you haven't seen some of the. Here we go. 1, 2, and 5 are all connected to one big story, pretty much. Kind of like in its own little trilogy. If then 3 or 4 kind of tries to do its own thing, but it's still the same formula as well. And I know 4 is not the strongest one within the franchise. Again, you can still have a good time with it. Freaking go and just don't go NASCAR races. So my number 3 is the Final Destination franchise. That franchise is so much damn fun.
That's a good point. I didn't put it on here for me just because of.
I figured that was the one you left off when you mentioned Halloween.
Yeah. Just because I didn't like, the formula is so much the same that like, and none of them, it doesn't really add anything to the franchise for me. Each time a movie comes out, you just get more creative kills, which is, I mean, I guess is the same for Saw and all these other ones, but Saw, I think it at least has that one continuing storyline. So that's the reason I didn't put it in. But when you go back and think of it, yeah, they are all actually pretty decent on their own. So, so
with
that
the
makes sense.
exception of 4. 4's like pick your poison
Yeah,
on
that one
one.
sucks.
Even though
Yeah.
I could still like put it in and just like, I didn't waste my time with that one.
No, I would rather get sucked down an escalator shaft than that, man. I'll never watch that again. Number 2 for me, Evil Dead franchise, man. It's a classic. I love it. So objectively speaking, I think these are the best 4 films in a franchise, like consistent wise, if you're looking at it from the outside. What holds it back at 2 for me instead of 1 is the fact that, each movie after the first one kind of reinvents the whole franchise. Like the second one kind of takes away the ending of the first one, and it kind of starts over again. And the third one kind of does the same thing, and then the fourth one is obviously like a remake / sequel that's not really related, beyond that. So for me, that's the reason. Like my number 1, I think, is a little bit more impressive. I think when we get to it, but I love obviously Ash is one of the best characters in horror always. Bruce Campbell, the GOAT. Ash versus Evil Dead also is fantastic. So even when they come back years later, it's still very strong. But man, you're talking again. We're talking variety like we did with Child's Play. We got that here too, man. You get the horror aspect in the first movie. The second one is full tilt comedy, and then Army of Darkness is even more so. With that campy, cheesy, like just weird ass comedy. But it's fun, man. It's a good time. Bruce Campbell carries the show. Part 2 is one of my favorite horror movies, man. So yeah, it's a great franchise, and the remake's pretty badass. But I know you like that one a lot, so I'll leave that to you.
Oh yeah, man, that remake was definitely strong too. So I'm ready to shock the world because if anybody knows me of what my favorite horror movie of all time is, you would assume I would put that particular thing at my number 1. False. My number 2 is the Scream franchise. And let me go ahead and clear it up. If we're doing like top 5 favorite horror franchises of all time and not adding the quality factor to it, Scream will easily be number 1. But we're doing base things on quality. And so that's why I'm putting the Scream franchise as my number 2. Again, the story is all connected. So you're not going to have to worry about like you got to watch the first one. And like I watch them in order to kind of understand the story of everything, even though really you can watch the first movie only, and then you can go jump into the 5th one because that's kind of like the requel rules of it. But like every single movie is still fun and it's entertaining. You're still going to get like same story, same formula. but Sadie just keeps on getting badass and like within each of these movies as well, with maybe the exception of the fourth one, that's like her weakest. But she is still has her memorable lines and all that. Dewey and Gail are still damn. You're gonna get different types of phone calls, like so. There it is for like why Scream the franchise is at my number two. As much as I want to put it at number one, it's just here's your blamer right here. It's Scream 3. That's the only reason why it's not number one. Because like it's still a good movie, but what my number one is, there is like what my number one has so many damn good movies within it.
Yeah, man. Cool. Yeah, right on, man. I dig. Number one for me is Texas Chainsaw, man. It's so when they came back in 2000. I'm fucking with. I'm just kidding. No,
Yeah,
I'm
I was
messing.
like, go ahead and say Scream. I know which it is.
Yeah, it is Scream. For a lot of the reasons you just said, but the reason I put it over Evil Dead, again, objectively, yes, all four of the Evil Dead movies are better than as a whole. If you were to average them out and put them against Scream, then yes, those movies objectively are better. But I give Scream some extra credit here for being able to keep a cohesive story throughout, the same tone throughout. They're able to keep all that rolling through. They never veered away from the original story. Like, they keep coming in, and every time they bring the same characters back and they build up on it. So for me, that's really impressive, especially 5 movies in, to not do something that's redundant or ridiculous. And by the time we got the freaking, Friday the 13th 5, Roy was chasing people around with a shovel, and we had the Michael Myers already died once or twice, and he's wearing a mask now, a crazy mask with a pitchfork. Like, we don't do that with Scream. And what's even more impressive is that, 2 of these movies were decades apart, and they still come back, and it's stronger than ever, man. At part 5, we're still bringing in new characters that we can care about, and we're excited to see where this thing goes. So I think that's really impressive. The first one obviously is fantastic. There's not a huge drop off between 1 and 5 over the years, despite the fact that it's been, a nearly 30-year story here. So I think that's really impressive. 3, yes, it brings it down a little bit, but it's still solid. If 3 is the worst movie in your franchise, you're doing really good. And, it still has some good things about it. The ending's cool. Sydney's still badass. And yeah, man, it's really cool what they've been able to do in one cohesive storyline. They never had to reboot it. They never had to, take away parts of it. They never had to, change the tone and go to a comedy. Like it works, and it's impressive. And maybe a big reason of that is because Wes Craven was there for 4 of them, and they nailed it with their directorial selection here for the 5th one too. But man, yeah, that's my number 1.
Hell yeah, freaking throwing the Wes Craven card in there too, which having that same director really helps with the quality and consistency of a franchise too. So that's a damn strong good point too. But again, it's just Scream 3. That's the only reason, man. Just like of overall feels like average amount. So my number 1 foe is Leprechaun. Let me tell you something about Leprechaun foe. Leprechaun is just want me gold and fuck. You know what? Fuck you, Lucky Charms. You'll have your turn on this channel eventually. My number 1 is the Evil Dead franchise because holy crap, those 4 movies that are being brought are 4 stars and up for me, or really in a way 4.25s and up. That's how much fun I have with these movies. Like, and as Brad says, I know it gets a little juggled up with like trying to figure out the tone, whether it wanted to be a full-on horror or just a comedy. But I like how you get to just pick your poison on that. Just pick and choose, because I'm more of the horror side of things. So I'll more revisit the Evil Dead and the Evil Dead remake from, I believe, 2013. I think it's 2013.
The remake? Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So with also Fede Alvarez too. So hell yeah. So but if you want to have some fun and a little comedy on your side, freaking visit Evil Dead 2 and Prince of Darkness, because it's going to get that to you as well. And just the other thing too that you have not touched upon with the Evil Dead, Ash versus the Evil Dead, the TV or the series that's on Netflix. I think it's on HBO Max now. That from what I hear, that is such a fun series as well. And when you can have a fun series with that, to include within your franchise is also going to help it. And we're also going to get the Evil Dead Rise coming out. I'm hopefully thinking later this year on HBO Max as well. So there is a bright future for the Evil Dead, just like Scream. There's a bright future for Scream, and the Scream TV series is good too, except for the exception of season 3. But the Evil Dead, man, with the quality and all that, I just love those movies so much. It outbeats most of what the other franchises are going to offer for me. And except for the remake, the stories are still connected. It's just like you said, Brett, the tone is a little off, but I can accept that though. I can live with that. So my number 1 is the Evil Dead franchise.
Sweet, hell yeah. And yeah, I didn't really mention it when I talked about it, but another one thing that kind of pulls it back a little bit, at least below Scream, is the remake. I like the remake, but it's so far removed from what the other 3 were trying to do. That it just kind of pulls it down as a franchise.
But it's kind of the remake rules as well, because like you just got like kind of like homage to the original stuff, while also being your own thing. And I feel it did that very well.
It did. I mean, a remake to the first movie, like it was good. Sequel, whatever you want to call it, I don't care. I'm going to call it a remake. It was good with that. I just it was a little bit over the top for me. But yeah, man, they're both. I mean, very very good franchises, man. Very solid.
Hell yeah, man. So that is it for our top 5 ranking for this particular video. We plan on doing more for the weekends. Our plan right now is to release ranking videos every weekend for you all to enjoy. So if y'all have any, or discussion, just depends on what we're feeling and all that. So be sure, just let us know what you all think about our particular ranking for these top 5 most consistent horror franchises. Do you agree with us, or do you have a totally different list, or is there even a franchise we even left off? Because I'm sure there's other good horror franchises out there. Just again, let us know in that comment section. Even for suggestions, let us know in that comment section for future rankings and discussions we could do in the future, and let's get that discussion rolling.
And if you want to find us good reels, you can do so by on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Letterboxd, Spotify, and on podcast. If you understood that, that's good.
Yeah, I can understand it once I slow down the video, but nobody got no time for that. But what we do have time to do is be sure to like this video, share, and subscribe. And of course, ring that bell, ding, 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 so you all know when the next ranking/discussion video is up and ready.
See you soon.
Yeah, and don't read books, man, especially those demon books.
你能send me to the cooler.